The Eagles offense struggled a little bit in training camp this week. Apparently they've had a couple of practices that weren't very good offensively. Didn't I tell you how this was going to happen? Pump your brakes, relax. Everything is all good. I told you that the defense was going to be better than the offense in training camp. That's the way that it always is. The defense has less to learn. Defense has a less learning curve when it comes to the particulars on what they need to do. On the defense, you can play the wrong defense and still make a great play. I mean, you can do that on offense too, but it's a little bit more forgiving on defense. So to me, this is not anything to worry about. You know what I mean? The offense is going to have a learning curve, trying to figure out Sean Mannion's offense. And that's just the way that it's going to be. They are going to get incrementally better. You're going to see good days. You're going to see bright spots here and there until they hone in on what they want to do and what their personnel can and cannot do in different spaces. So that's the thing that they have to figure out. They got all new players. They got a new offensive coordinator. They basically got a new coach that's got to look at everybody and figure out who works best with his plan. And the one thing that I say still exists right now is don't force your players into your plan. Make your plan, make your scheme adjust to the talent that you have. The players on the field are the ones that make it work. So put them in the best position to win. Know your personnel. Know who does what best. The best thing about this is everybody's worried about who's going to fill the production for A.J. Brown. Sean Mannion didn't play with A.J. Brown, so he's not missing that. So he doesn't know what it was when it was there. That's the benefit of having somebody new when you lose somebody like A.J. Brown. Sean Mannion never coached him. So there's no penalty in that. He's not crippled by, man, we used to have this guy and he's not there no more. Sean Mannion don't know nothing about that. So it doesn't matter to him. He's got to look at the pieces that he's got on the field and roll with that. Don't make it complicated. So I'm expecting the defense to look better. I'm expecting that. And also, as good as the defense is looking, and I keep saying this, what's going to happen when they come up against somebody in a joint practice or the preseason game, you ain't been looking at the same people for 3 weeks. Now you're looking at somebody different. So you have no earthly idea what they're going to come with, what scheme they're going to do, who you're going up against. You have no idea. And that's when you can see naturally what you have on offense and or defense. Dontavian Wicks is making great plays. Apparently, Devontae Smith has been having a masterclass all camp. He's looked good all camp. Okay, where if he's looked good all camp, then the offense can't look that bad. You got to put 2 and 2 together. Now, everybody was talking about yesterday, they had a period where they were on the 20 going in, and they didn't score a touchdown in 8 plays. Okay, that's some things to work on. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say, I guarantee you they're going to run that drill again. They're going to have a red zone drill. They're going to have a goal line drill again. And then there's going to be a day where they do score 6 out of 8, 7 out of 8, 5 out of 8, 5 out of 8, and somebody dropped a pass or it was tipped by a great play by a DB. It's going to balance itself out. It always does. So I don't get too high or too low on different things that are happening in camp. I don't think people truly understand how much experimenting is going on, and you don't know if this person can play. Are they playing this person out of position? They're experimenting right now because they can.
100% alignment and 0 entitlement.
So this is a lot of mental reps. This is the time to make mistakes. I'm not looking for the offense to go out there and just be banging on the defense, because if that was a situation, we'd be complaining about the defense. The defense looks terrible. What are they going to look like? Teams are going to put up 28 points a game on us, and it would just get blown out of proportion. Again, it's the same way they're doing it with the offense. Just folks got to relax. They have to get through this learning curve.
Knowing your assignment, block destruction, tackling.
It's not as bad or as good as it initially looks. Never is. Never is. So people just got to relax, and let's let some things play out, and let's let some schemes, packages, personnel, all of that stuff is undecided yet.
You already know you're going to hear this 1,000 times through training camp and 10,000 times throughout the year.
So right now they're throwing the spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. That's it. That's it. They're throwing a lot of information to these young players, and hell, to these older players. You're throwing a lot of information at them right off the bat. Most of it they're not going to keep. And that's what they're doing. They're retooling, and they're figuring out what to keep, what not to keep. Sean Mannion's offense might be this big. They'll play with this much. Nobody ever, you hear people say they went through the whole playbook. That's damn near impossible. I don't think people realize how big and how vast a coach's playbook actually is. Because if you have a certain player, if you have somebody goes down, somebody gets traded, your playbook adjusts to your personnel. The personnel matters. And right now, we don't know who our personnel is. We don't know what the 53-man roster is going to look like. We know stalwarts. We know people who are under contract and stuff like that. But you got to look at the minutia and all of that type of stuff. And on top of that, this is all under the umbrella of a brand new offensive coordinator and a brand new offensive line coach.
I feel like I have a chance to be really good in the system too. Studying it and working in and trying to put myself in the system. I feel like it's going to open up some things that I may not have been able to show as much in my career. So I'm excited for that.
It's okay that it looked like Jalen may have gotten sacked 3 times. That's going to happen. Because number one, they really ain't going full speed, full tilt, full pads. They're not doing that yet. That is a totally different environment. Totally different environment. I don't care what it looks like. And you can go team by team by team. Go to ESPN, go to YouTube, look at all these other teams and look at how they practice it. And as long as they have helmets, jerseys, no pads, no shoulder pads, no pants, they're basically in jerseys and shorts. And they go in full tilt. No, they're not. No, they are not. So when somebody gets through the line of scrimmage and chases Jalen out of the pocket, he has to throw on the run and stuff like that. A lot of that stuff will not happen in real games. Full pads, because you're going to get help. And somebody can knock you, put an elbow through to your neck, and they can jam you in the chest. And you react because now you got something to grab onto. They can manipulate the wings of those shoulder pads that you can't do when you're not wearing that stuff. It's a different game. It's a different hand game. The fighting gets different. So the whole outlook of what you see is going to be totally different when you put on full pads, when you go on full tilt. Again, joint practices, preseason games. So everybody just relax a little bit. I told y'all the defense was going to look better than the offense. If Sean Mannion had been here for 5 years, the defense is always going to look a little bit better than the offense at the beginning of camp. That's just the way that it is. You could have Jalen Hurts could have an offense that they've been practicing with for 5 weeks. You could put a defense together in a day and say, okay, this is your position. This is your position. This is what I need you to do. This is what I need you to do. They could have never played together, and that defense will still find a way to make a couple of plays. The defense is always more forgiving. The defense is always more forgiving. If the offensive line makes a mistake, that's a sack. If a receiver makes a mistake, that could be an interception. If the quarterback makes a mistake, That's a turnover. All these things, you got all of these consequences and repercussions when you make a mistake on offense. You still have consequences on defense, but there's a little bit longer leash. You could have a blown coverage and the free safety can cover your mistake. A defense, and again, I've heard this before. I heard Hugh Douglas say this. I heard Seth Joyner say this. A defensive lineman can make a mistake and a linebacker can cover for it. And you'll never know what happened. So I'm saying all that to say the margin for error on defense is a little bit larger than the margin for error on offense. The margin for error on offense is not very big at all. The margin for error on offense takes a lot of skill. Prime example we saw last year, I did a video about this play specifically. Cam Jurgens gets swum and barely even touches his defensive tackle. That's heads up on him. The guy just swims him. Cam Jurgens doesn't even touch him. He's 2 yards in the backfield. Saquon Barkley puts a move on him, spins out, and makes it a splash play for 20 plus yards. That's the type of skill it takes to overcome a mistake on offense. That was Saquon Barkley just being incredible. But it's not going to happen like that all the time. It's much, much harder to fix a mistake or to avoid a mistake on offense than it is on defense, in my opinion. So when you see plays like Saquon and doing things like that, or you just lucky. Jalen throws the ball. The receiver drops the ball, tips off his hands, and looks like an easy pick for a DB or a safety, and the safety drops it. So you get lucky sometimes. You get lucky sometimes. Or a DB should have had a pick, bounces off of his hands, and the receiver is right behind him to still catch it and take it to the house. Lucky. Probably should have been a turnover, like different things like that. Jalen fumbles the ball and the ball bounces right back to him. When you make a mistake on offense, a lot of times it's just luck or somebody making a fantastic play and avoiding disaster. You don't necessarily have things like that on defense. Now, granted, sometimes on defense, if a DB bites and he gets beat long, sometimes you have it like that. But sometimes a DB will bite or fall or just turn the wrong way, and the wide receiver goes right past him. And then the quarterback overthrows the ball. Or the quarterback gets sacked and, somebody hits his hand. So, like I said, the defense is a little bit more forgiving in that regard. So let's relax that the offense is not looking great right now. I don't expect the offense to look great. They got a lot of packages to put in. And again, they put in a lot of stuff, but the closer we get to preseason games and the regular season, that package is going to shrink and shrink and shrink, because what they got to do is they got to figure out what works and what doesn't. And that's going to roll into the regular season. That's why I always say, don't pass any judgment until we are going into week 5. Do not pass judgment on the Eagles until we are going into week 5. I don't care if we're 1-4. I don't care if we're 4-1 or 3-1, I should say. Doesn't matter. 4-0, it doesn't matter. Don't pass any judgment on the Eagles until we get past week 4. Once we get to week 4, this is what happens. Every team in the NFL has you on tape. Every team in the NFL has seen enough of you in 4 games that they can pick out and recognize patterns, trends, what you do on 3rd and 8, what you do on 3rd and 8 in the 3rd quarter, as opposed to what you did in the 1st quarter. They can see all of those trends and all those percentages change. So they get a true look at what an offense may or may not do in particular situations. That's where that term comes. We got you on tape. We got them on tape. You've seen enough to where, hey, we're in the first half. It's 3rd and 5, and we're on the backside of the 50. This is what this team usually runs 28% of the time. It jumps up to 35% of the time when this particular guy is in it at the H-back. They work all of that stuff out. And the more footage that you have from the regular season, the more that matters. So don't get so, I'm saying, I don't want us to be 1-3 going into week 5. I don't want that. I want to be 4-0. But I'm also realistic with what we have to do and the changes that we have to make. On top of, you got to stay healthy. That's the biggest key that nobody has any control over. You have to stay healthy. So just relax. Everybody's going to have a couple bad days of practice. There's going to be a couple bad days where the offense is going to torch the defense too. It's coming. It's coming. So relax. We'll be fine. And let's just keep on watching. Go Birds.